This is a podcast about both having autism and living with someone who has autism. My mom is Sonya, and I'm Josh, and this is Josh Has Autism.
Hey everybody, welcome to Josh Has Autism.
Hello.
And we're doing a podcast in the morning, which we never do.
Yeah.
And I usually don't sound like
You're sick?
like a smoker. Yeah, or like I'm sick. I don't know why. I think probably allergies. A whole bunch of stuff has been stirred up around here. So yeah, this is we don't do these in the morning on purpose.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think both of us are.
Our voices are deeper.
Oh yeah. Well, not mine usually.
Oh, in the mornings. Not just you, but everyone has a deeper
You're taller
voice.
in the morning. Everybody's taller in the morning.
Probably don't feel like it though, because you just woke up and you want to go back to sleep.
Yeah.
But yeah, with in the mornings, your voice is actually deeper because your vocal cords don't have as much use in the morning.
So they're relaxed?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we'll get through. I want to talk to you about the speech that we gave this week.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, first of all, you were fabulous, as always. How did it feel to you?
Leading up to it,
Mm-hmm.
I was so stressed.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't scared.
Mm-hmm.
I was definitely stressed.
Yeah.
And I was a bit nervous.
Mm-hmm.
I tried to get stuff together in time for it, and it kind of came through, kind of didn't.
Mm.
I actually haven't felt that way. I have not felt that particular combination since having to do a school project that was due in a month's time, and it was the night before, and I needed your help.
Yeah.
And that was like high school.
Mm-hmm.
So it's been a bit of time.
Yeah, yeah. Well, one of the things that I found out in the process, because COVID really just made everything stop.
Yeah.
And so it's really nice was nice. It felt really good, to me anyway, to be back there sharing you with everybody. But I don't even know what I was going to say.
You had just asked me how I felt about it or something.
Yes, so in the process of doing this, in the process of preparing, I noticed that, and I realized that for you, it's kind of like the abstract of clean your room. Because, again, you know what the word clean is. You know.
I know what the phrase means. It's the steps getting to it.
That are overwhelming for you,
yes.
And you don't know where to start, and you don't know what's being asked of you even.
Right.
So much like that. That's a really good example. If I say to you, clean your room, you don't know where to start.
Right.
You don't know what it is that I'm thinking. What is it that I'm asking? What is it that I want the outcome to be?
Right.
Well, with the speech, I realized that it's in that same category with you, because just saying to you that people want to hear, much like on the podcast, people want to hear about what you experience, and the fact that you can put words to how you feel, and you can put words to those experiences, help other people.
Yeah.
And so months and months ago, when I said to you that, we're going to,
give
speeches again. Yeah. Well, I didn't realize that it would be hard for you to narrow it down to know what you were going to share.
Right.
And because when I look at you, I just think, well, just start talking, and you know, it's the things that you share, the insight that you have is pretty amazing. So it would just be whatever you chose was going to work, and I knew that.
That it would work. Yeah.
Yes, I knew that it would work, because every time that you start talking, it's meaningful, and in a room full of people like that, it's very moving for them to hear from you and what you have to say and how you feel, and you know, at any rate, this time was very difficult for you.
It was, and I think that part of that was because I could not retain what it was supposed to be specifically about.
Yeah, that was weird. That was different than normal.
No, it really wasn't.
Because every time you would I would tell you something, I'd walk you through it, I'd think, okay, good, we're good to go. And you'd come back and be like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do.
Yeah.
Yes, how was that the same?
Because going right with what you're thinking about, I have so many thoughts going on at any given time.
Yeah.
That doesn't help.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever you would tell me what it was about, a lot of times you'd be giving examples of what you're talking about when I'm not trying to find examples. I'm trying to find out what the heck is it I'm supposed to be talking about, not necessarily examples of it.
Mm-hmm.
And which normally, you're right, it would be helpful to have those examples. But you would ask me to give examples that weren't. There was a period of time there that it was pretty complicated, because I wasn't really clear on what wasn't clicking for you. Mm-hmm.
And so I thought giving you examples would help out, and I'm just hearing right now that really wasn't helpful.
Right.
And I do understand too that it's a big, it's so open-ended, so, and that makes it difficult for you.
Yeah.
It needs to be concrete. It can't be abstract. It's got to be concrete. So,
right.
Trying to fill in the blanks there for you, but apparently that didn't help.
Right. And so there was that. There was the not rush. To me, at least, it didn't feel like it was coming up as fast as it kind of did to me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it still felt like I had more time.
Mm-hmm.
Even in the car on the way there, I felt like I still have more time for this. Even though mentally I knew I didn't.
Yeah.
So, so one of the so I lost that train of thought, but I know what a future thought was.
Okay.
Which kind of sounds weird now that I just said it out loud. But if I think of what that was, I'll come back to it. I'll try to. Whenever we got there, I was still really stressed. And one thing I noticed is that while in this podcast, for example, I'm very articulate. I'm very easy to talk to. I'm not. Maybe, I don't know.
Well, it flows easily from you.
Yes. Whenever we were out where we were going to do the speech,
Mm-hmm.
I was very withdrawn, very not shy, not
Well, it looked to me like we walked in and it was like, boom, you're closed off.
That's a good way of putting it. Yes, very closed off. Because I think part of it was me being nervous.
Mm-hmm.
And I really wanted this to go well.
Mm-hmm.
So that leads us into starting the speech, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So I know that you started us off, and the microphones, we had 2 different microphones. One of them would cut in and out and everything, but
Well, what's funny is because the first time back at it, and we've done this before,
yeah,
and we've whatever it is, I think we will get our own sound system.
yeah,
Because we've had to share mics before,
Yeah.
so we're fine, whatever happens. But this time back was certainly, let's get, tossed into the fire, where let's see what, we can throw at them to see if they can overcome this and overcome that. There were so many distractions. They were,
yeah.
there were, it was a cute, adorable little venue that was just, I love it there.
Yeah.
So eclectic, and
Yeah.
the atmosphere is wonderful.
Mm-hmm. The group itself was maybe 25, 30 people.
About that.
Yeah.
Yes, it was a yeah, I would say it was a group about that size, and they were older than
Mm-hmm.
what we typically have in the audience.
Yeah, I think the youngest would have been late 30s.
Probably, and that was only maybe 2 people.
Yeah.
Well, most of them were much older
Mm-hmm.
than that. And what's really cool is that, so first of all, I'll just say that it felt really good to be back doing this again. And what I shared with you in efforts to just kind of put it in perspective for you, it's not like this is it. Like everything hangs on this. It's just, it's the beginning of us doing this again.
Yeah.
And I'm always asking you do you want to do this? Do you feel good about, feel good about doing this?
Yeah.
And because I want to make sure I'm not pushing you into anything. And it always seems like this is something that you really want to do.
It is. It is. So I find it a little bit silly and a little bit strange that you keep asking me. I understand where you're coming from, that you want to make sure that this is still something that I want to do.
Yeah. You just called me a silly woman.
Silly woman walking down the street.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, because I want to make sure,
yeah.
I won't ask you again. I
Yeah.
won't ask you again. You just tell me if you don't want to.
All right.
Okay. Yes, but it has been that, just to, I think probably that asked so many times because getting back to it,
Mm-hmm.
I would ask you for different parts of what you were going to do,
Mm-hmm.
and you wouldn't give it to me. And that's what made me think that, as the plethora of questions that I could have asked, that should be one of them. Do you want to do this?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But the people, I'm not surprised that you did your thing. You shared what you wanted to share, and some of the whole thing. There were so many distractions and what have you that because it's live and in the moment, you never know what's going to happen.
Right. Right. And I will say this. A conversation that I had with one of my coworkers actually really helped whenever I started on my part. And it was just a conversation we had a day or two before we actually did the speech.
Mm-hmm.
And thinking about what she and I had talked about, helped me click back into, because whenever I had first started on there, I kind of faltered a little bit. I got really overwhelmed with everything sensory wise.
Mm-hmm.
And which was that exact thing, the sensory overload, was part of what she and I had talked about, because she has lots of family that are that are autistic.
Mm-hmm.
And that, thinking of that conversation actually brought me back and was able to help me continue forward with what we were talking about.
Mm-hmm. That's pretty cool. And you used what you had just experienced and you shared that.
Yeah.
And you could really, I could really tell that you sharing what you were sharing was something that the people in the audience, didn't know, they had never heard before. And I think they were fascinated by it and so interested.
Yeah.
And then that was something that we received as we went on, is that the questions,
Yeah.
the interaction,
Yeah.
the support that you were given as the speech was taking place, but then afterwards,
Yeah.
it's always like this, where afterwards, when during the speech you're just sharing things that are personal to you through your experience, and people are just so
Fascinated.
and you're just very likable. And I heard many times that night how handsome you are. So, which is true.
Thank you.
And anyway, the people, they gravitate towards you. And so it's interesting because, it doesn't matter what age somebody is. When you share what you're sharing, there's this connection that you make.
Yeah.
And people come up and they talk to you about, family members, or ask you questions.
Yeah.
And I just think it's wonderful. Sometimes people ask you questions that, and I'm not always right next to you when this is happening, and I can't even, as I'm saying this, I can't remember what they are, but people will ask you questions that I didn't think about.
Yeah.
And I just love it, because for every person that's there, they're taking in what is being shared, and it kind of sparks something different for each of them. And I just love that they come to you and bring a question, and you help them to, whether it's issues in their own life,
things they've noticed with people that they know that are autistic.
right, and it just helps them.
Yeah.
And they seem to be happy, after spending time with you like that, and for us giving the speech and spending time, they seem to be very happy.
Yeah.
And so when I tell you that, it was important for me to tell you that, look, you don't have this is not like this is it. This is the beginning of us getting back out there after COVID.
Right.
And so no stress,
Yeah.
and which is so, somebody took look at the card. A couple people took a business card and want us to come and speak at their organization.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I just think that I feel really good that we did it. People loved it.
Yeah.
And you can't ask for anything more. Afterwards people said that they laughed and they cried, and they just thought it was wonderful. And it's very encouraging that we're on the right track.
Yeah.
And I'm very proud of you, because I know that that's that it was a difficult, whatever it was that was kind of a block ahead of time. My question to you is that now that we're back and you've done this, and so I will say this because people might not understand. The reason that it's new is the speech is different.
Yeah.
It's kind of morphed, and where it used to be on a different subject matter, it's now kind of getting really tuned into what it is that we really feel like we want to share now anyway, because who knows, down the line it'll get tweaked again, maybe. Who knows? But the reason that I'm saying that this stuff is new is because it's new.
Yeah.
It's something different than we had talked about before.
Yeah.
And so leading up to it, you had some brilliant ideas, and when we talk, a lot of times it just flows from you.
Yeah.
And I would say, just do that. Well, believe me, I
think that for everyone listening here on the podcast, and who have listened to previous podcasts, they'll know exactly what you're talking about, because there are times where, and it just happened. I know that much, but I don't remember what it.
That it just goes like in mid sentence. It's just gone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't remember what your statement just was. Like
Okay.
not the it's gone, but right before that, and I remember that I was saying something about that, but it just
When you lose a thought like that, or when somebody's having a conversation with you, do you sometimes lose what they're saying because you are at the beginning of a sentence, then you're focusing on that thing, trying to decipher what was meant by that, and then the tail end of the statement or question or sentence that somebody else is saying is gone because you're focused on what you just thought you heard, and you really don't hear the second half of it?
That is sometimes the case. There's a lot of different reasons as to why it actually happens. That is one of them, though, where I can get focused on part of what's being said. Now, I will say this much, that I really dislike that actually happening. And so, for me, at least, I've tried to not have that happen. Mainly for two different reasons. One is because the way I've been raised is to not focus and judge on what people are saying, which is easy for me not to judge. But it's very difficult for me not to focus on literal meanings of what is said. Did that make sense? It's very...
So I think what you're saying is, I think what you just said is that you're not judgmental about others. When they speak, though, you can get focused on the literal meaning of what they just said.
And lose what's actually being said. Yes. And the other, because I know there were two parts to that I said. The other one is because so many doctors have focused on me saying the wrong words for how I'm feeling.
Oh.
And
yeah.
Yeah.
So I know exactly what you're talking about, and I'll just say it out loud here. And that is that when you would go see a therapist or a psychologist or a psychiatrist, because it's happened, and those are different, when you've been in there, they will ask you something, you will mention something, and then that's the focus for them the entire session.
Yeah, even if it was, and it usually was, me trying to find the right words. So I say something, I was like, no, that's not quite right. And then I correct myself. They focus on the incorrect thing I said,
right,
when I was trying to find the right way to say it. And don't let up on that.
Right, right. And that's something that I've learned from you and through you, is that sometimes you'll say it, but it's not exactly what you want to say, and so then you correct it.
Yes.
And I didn't always understand that, and it was a problem, but I do understand that about you now, and I also understand why it bothered you so much, because I would see it, that you would just say something, and it's kind of benign,
Yeah.
and it would be the focus of the whole time, and you would just be so frustrated.
Because that's not what I needed.
Yes, and you would tell them sometimes, that's not what this is about. It's not even been an issue. Just,
Yeah.
but,
Yeah.
So I can't think of an example, but I'll just make one up. So if you were to say, I sing, I sing all day, or you say, if you said, I have a hard time singing, and you go, well, and they start talking about that, you go, no, what I meant was I have a hard time talking.
Yeah.
And then they go, right, I hear you. But how often have you had a hard time singing?
Yeah. Yeah.
And you're like, it's not, no, that was a
misspeak.
Yeah, it's,
Yeah.
and they wouldn't stop.
Right.
And the whole time then, and
which made the entire rest of the sessions that I would have completely useless.
And I could see you getting frustrated and agitated sometimes, and the doctor would think that it's because of what we're talking about. Well, it is, but not the way they're thinking.
Right. Right.
And I could see it happening and would try to help you when I was in sessions with you.
Right.
Would try to take that in a different direction, but boy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I see what you're saying, and I didn't connect that before. So because you've been held so accountable for the words that you've used, that carries over
to me trying not to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
In your everyday conversation.
Yeah.
And then, because we're talking about speaking, I'm going to make sure you don't do that, in front of, a room full of people.
Yeah.
Yeah. What I think is that when you present yourself to a room full of people like you've done so many times, I think that it's always been one where people are very understanding and with you. Mm-hmm. Like they're on your side.
Yeah.
And so, and I've told you this before. I said you can just be you. And if the words stop coming for a minute, they stop coming, It's just you're going to get through that. And and you had asked that I'm right there with you.
Mm-hmm.
And which I can talk when that happens. I can just kind of fill it up and until you're ready again, and I guess until you kind of get centered and
or find the words I want to say.
Yeah. And so I wanted to ask you about how you felt. Did this feel like an accomplishment to you?
I guess in a sense it did. If anything, it more so felt like a step in the right direction.
Mm-hmm.
So it wasn't so much an accomplishment as it was another step forward.
Mm-hmm. To me, it felt like there's finally movement again. Like this has been so stagnant or just kind of stuck because of, nothing that we had done, but,
right.
Everything shut down and, it was just been difficult.
Yeah.
And so it feels to me like, okay, finally, we're moving forward again. But something happened to you that I observed, and that is that you felt, it looked like afterwards, of course you were exhausted,
mm-hmm.
but you also looked like you just felt very peaceful. And it's different than being exhausted. I know that you were just wiped out.
Yeah.
And after you do the speeches, we just try to give you whatever space you need and try to accommodate the next,
Yeah.
Actually couple of days.
Yeah.
But you seemed very available.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
And something else happened that I felt like, and I don't know if you felt like it, I felt like you and I had a connection that was kind of, I would say new. I mean, we have a good relationship.
Yeah.
But after the speech, it just felt like you were. I don't know. I don't know. It just felt. I'm trying to find the words here. I felt very connected to you,
Mm-hmm.
and it felt like you were very open
Mm-hmm.
and lighter is the word I'm looking for.
Okay.
You seemed so much lighter, and
A lot of the stress that I had been feeling up to the speech was because of the lead up to the speech.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And
I think it's normal.
yeah.
Yeah.
And it wasn't just my stress. It was your stress feeding mine, feeding yours, feeding Dad's, feeding both of ours, and
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
it was just ridiculous. But
Mm-hmm.
it with the speech, with the lead up to the speech now over. Yeah, I'm not surprised that
I guess what I'm saying is that, right, so there's this kind of like a whew, glad that was over, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Relief. And
yes,
everything,
relief. I get that. But there was also something like a connection between you and I that just, I felt from you that was just, you were very available. You were, see the words, they're not coming. I don't know how to explain this.
Let me try something then.
Okay.
So the barriers between us that exist with communication, with understanding, there were a lot less of them right after the speech.
But I also felt like there was a deeper connection, a deeper understanding, and there's something there that only you and I know. You and I were the only ones that did this on that day in this time, right? In this space. It was you and I working together.
Yeah.
And what I feel like is that, and it's happened before, so it's not like a new experience. But when we do this, it feels like there's a
camaraderie.
I just think a grace. I think there's a grace given to one another, and this feeling of that we together we accomplish something.
Yeah.
And I think that yeah, I just think that it's a good feeling, and I'm always proud of you. Everybody knows that, but doing what you did that night, I'm very, very proud of you. Just very proud of you because there were so many distractions. Oh my gosh, one after the other after the other,
Yeah.
and what you did is you helped people to understand what you were experiencing by pointing out those distractions.
Yeah.
And there were people that I could see that they didn't even realize that those things were happening.
Yeah.
And for you, you're saying, okay, I'm dealing with this right here, but I'm also dealing with this and this and this and this over there.
Yeah.
And it's all coming in,
Yeah.
And so I saw people kind of go, oh.
Yeah.
And it was very, very helpful. So, you adapting and using those things that were throwing you off to explain.
Yeah.
And you did it brilliantly.
Yeah.
So it was pretty cool. And so I'm assuming we'll keep going, and you told me not to ask you again, so I'm not going to ask you again. Because it went well, and we'll get, so we're back at it, so I feel good about that. How does it feel to you, and how did it feel to you when people came up to you afterwards and were talking to you?
I really, part of me was like, I'm really excited that am able to do this, that I'm able to express what happens and how I feel when during these situations to other people that would have no idea, to be able to help them better understand others they know.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a really great feeling to be able to do that.
Mm-hmm.
At the same time, I was just done for the night. But,
Sure. Sure, you get wiped out.
Yeah. But I knew that what we were doing was really important, and that it was something that not only we needed to share, but people needed to hear,
Mm-hmm.
to understand.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not something I can do all the time.
Right.
I really have difficulties whenever it comes to forcing my way through that kind of stuff.
Yeah, right.
To be able to continue talking when I am well past my point,
Yeah, right. Right, I think that's another aspect of this that just, has me looking at you kind of going, wow, because I know, even in these podcasts, so I'm looking at you, I get the visual cues, and I can tell when you're exhausted, when, you're able to let me know that, the words are not coming. You say something, and so we've got that together, and I think that carries over in when we're speaking, and yeah, I see that, but it's also just that the fact that you are so available and willing, and the reason that you are is because you feel like it's important for other people to understand. And I want you to know that I don't know that you are aware of this, that because of the speech, there are a couple of people that have younger kids that are coming into the area that are looking for the places to go and the support that they can use, and all of that. And so I'm helping them to know where to go for that support. And they're moving here from the northeast and far northeast. And so it feels really good, because it's not just listen to us talk. There is definitely a message there. We're offering help if anybody's interested, and and after the fact, then now we have the opportunity to help a couple families that are moving to the area to know where the support is and how to get to them and who the contact people are, and and all of that. So it just feels really good to be doing that. And with that, unless there's anything else that you want to say, we are on a time schedule today, and we've hit the time.
I might have something else, but I can't think of it. So
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I got it. All right. Well, I'm proud of you. You were wonderful as usual.
Thank you.
So yeah.
You were too.
Oh, thanks, honey. All right, everybody, thank you for hanging out with us, and we so appreciate you every single time. We appreciate your feedback and your emails, your messages. I have been really bad about posting these on. I don't even go on Facebook anymore, but I do have a Twitter account, so I'm gonna start posting these on Twitter. I did that for a while and would get, people were interested in it, and I don't know why. I just haven't been put. We put it up. I don't post it anywhere.
Yeah.
It goes out to different. What are they called? Like
different websites, different media sites.
Media sites, maybe. But I haven't. I've been. I guess. I don't know. I haven't done anything about it. We do it. I send it out. I'm done.
Yeah.
So I need to start posting that other places. Anyway, everybody, thank you so much for hanging out with us again. And I just hope that you're doing well. Please feel free to send us questions, recommendations, whatever it is that you'd like.
Yeah.
And we just appreciate you so much. Take care of yourself. Hug the people that you love.
Your website and everything.
Oh, yeah. You go to my website, please. It's sonyaking.com, SONYAKING. And you'll find the artwork that accompanies the blog that accompanies this podcast.
Yeah.
And you can also find all of the other podcasts that we've done.
Yeah, and a way to message us.
Yes,
everything.
that's the way to get to us. And 5 stars are always appreciated wherever you hear us.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be great. Well, big hugs to you.
Yeah.
Love you.
Bye.